Hello family and friends. This is the 10 Fun Facts About Me challenge, and I was tagged by friend Susan from Susan B channel, and I thought since we have the same name, I absolutely want to do this one straight away. I do have a couple of other tags I've been working on for ages. So I've put topics for the 10 fun facts. Not all of them are absolutely fun though. So the first is, where am I and where do I come from? I live in Australia. I was born in Sydney, New South Wales. My parents planned during a trip to the 1956 Olympic Games to have another child 6 years after the last. And that ended up being me. I have lived in New South Wales, Victoria and now Queensland, but never even visited the other 4 states of Australia. I really want to though. Number 2, some family history. My husband and I met on a blind date in 1974. My mum and dad are both gone now. I knew both my grandmothers, but neither of my grandfathers. I have 2 brothers and 1 sister. We have 6 children, a daughter and 5 sons, including fraternal twin boys. I've had 2 miscarriages. We have 8 grandchildren. The 8th is due any day within the next few weeks, and it's a little girl. Our ancestry on my side includes English, Scottish, German and Polynesian, and on my husband's English and Norwegian. Number 3, characteristics. I love the name Susan, but dislike Sue. I was almost named Victoria after the state where Mum and Dad were visiting when they decided to have me. I have hazel green eyes. My mum used to call my hair honey blonde. Now I guess it is just light brown with grey creeping in. I have very long hair. It's sort of my signature thing. I'm well known for it all my life. I have been. When I was a teen, it was very wild and frizzy, and I used to iron it between 2 sheets of brown paper. Only once have I ever had it cut very short, elfin boy style, and I was very upset after that. I did also have it shoulder length for our wedding, and I regretted that. And other than that, I've had a few trims over the years. I don't like going to the hairdresser. I find it stressful and painful and uncomfortable, and I just don't like it. And yet, I love to have someone play with my hair and brush it gently. I suffer from migraines. I have done since I was 15, and I mostly get them on my days off and on holidays when I'm unwinding. Number 4, habits. My worst habit is biting my fingernails. I'm not at the moment. Probably half a dozen times in my life I've stopped biting them by putting that very bitter stuff on them called Stop and Grow. I did grow them long and beautiful and strong while I was pregnant with our first child because I didn't want the baby to grow up and see what I was doing and attract the bad habit. Thankfully she didn't. But within a week of her being born, I was chewing them again. But it's an on and off thing. And when our new piano came home, I was determined not to have them chewed, so that's why they're growing at the moment. One rule that stems from something not so good was that I had a couple of brushes with anorexia when I was a teenager and after one of my miscarriages. So I've sort of kept some of the food rules I used to practice, which is not such a good thing. But I do get teased now about this. I like the same protein for lunch as dinner, to the point where I just can't do it any other way. So for instance, if I have a roast beef sandwich for lunch, I would want to have a steak for dinner. I can't bear to mix egg and chicken together. That means I can't have chicken quiche or chicken omelette. That's about all for food. I worry about everything. I take on board everybody's problems, including my own. I find it difficult balancing living in the past and present and planning for the future. I get depressed easily, but I can bounce up high just as fast. I sleep very little. I've always, since childhood, considered it a waste of time. I have so many things I want to do. I have an excellent memory. In fact, I just can't forget. And sometimes that gets taken the wrong way, as if you're holding a grudge. But I tend to think of it more as looking back and learning from your mistakes and making things better. Number 5, fears and dislikes. I'm extremely claustrophobic. I don't even like being in cars or planes or in crowds. I am very afraid of heights. I can't even look up at a tall building. And therefore, taking those two things into account, I'm not fond of flying at all. I did go on an international flight to visit one of our sons in England, and that was a wonderful experience. But I'm not a frequent traveller, that's for sure. I do go interstate and pretty much close my eyes the whole time. I hate roller coasters and Ferris wheels. I'm not fond of spiders, although I used to be a lot more afraid until we moved to where we are now and we see them more often, starting to get used to them. I'm not too afraid of snakes, though I probably should be. I once caught a red-bellied black snake, the dangerous one, and put it in a jar so we could take it safely to the bush. I don't like driving a car, and I didn't get my licence until we had our second child. I especially don't like driving somewhere new. I have never driven further than an hour away from where I am. I prefer the bus or train. I hate the smell and taste of coffee and have only had 1/2 cup in my whole life, and that was so as not to hurt someone's feelings who gave me the coffee instead of my very weak tea. I have had only 2 sips of alcohol in my life. Someone gave me a brandy and dry once when I was a teen, and I had a sip of champagne at our wedding. Most of the time I just drink water, especially iced water. I can't bear to be without shoes unless I'm walking on the beach. I don't enjoy watching sport of any kind, and I'm not very sporty anyway, but I have played tennis and netball and softball, and I like to walk, and I used to ride a bike, and I love to swim. I am, however, scared of going in the ocean and any dark, deep water. And a spin-off from childhood that's never left me, I can't swim near the drain hole in a swimming pool. Now, I do have one fear that's greater than all of those things, but it really will take away from the fun of this challenge if I talk about that one, so I'll let that go. Number 6, animals. They've always played a big part in my life. I've had guinea pigs continuously since age 9. I'd have rabbits too, but they're illegal in our state. We have cats, we've had dogs, we have one at the moment. I'm particularly fond of German Shepherds, and I grew up with 2 of them. Love birds. We currently have 3 budgies and a canary, and she's about 8 years old, and I bring her inside every night, and the rest of the time she likes to be on the veranda in the sunshine. Love bears, brown polar bears and pandas. Love primates, especially gorillas and orangutans. Green tree frogs, dolphins, foxes, lions, giraffes, chickens. We did have 4 hens. I wish we still had some. We must get them again. And I adore all Aussie animals. And one of my best moments was holding a koala.